What's up, guys? I'm Manny,
And I'm Matt.
and we're here with another We React video.
Should we have said it at the same time?
We haven't thought that far yet.
we haven't
So,
thought that far.
by the way, I have new glasses, guys. Check that out. New glasses.
His glasses before, if you could notice.
If you've
the
seen
other
any
videos,
of my YouTube videos before this one, they were I was seeing through a crooked lens. Say that much.
literally.
Yeah. It was bad. Yeah, I hope you guys are liking these We React videos to Cloak and Dagger. They're a lot of fun to make.
They are.
And it's like stretching me and bringing back some of that AP Lit stuff where you're looking for deeper meaning and like metaphors and things like that.
Definitely not for me for AP Lit. The only AP class I ever took was photography. And yes, it was AP.
But yeah, so we're gonna watch the episode 5
of season 1.
Of season 1. I
Not
made a mistake
season-
in the last video
not
when I said
season
season 3 for
3.
episode 3. I'm sorry if that confused people. There's only been one season. We're on episode 5.
So the first video that we did, after watching it back, I was like on my phone the entire time. And like I was like, oh yeah, Manny, that sounds good. I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Strike
can't believe
one.
it. Strike 1. Strike 2. If you saw it in both the reaction of the fourth episode,
Yep.
fourth episode in the regular video and in the spoiler video, you might have seen me doing something like this.
Just a little bit.
Oh, I'm awake. Yeah, man. I agree. I was so tired.
He was wasted.
No, I wasn't. No.
You were tired.
I was tired. I was
Yeah,
not wasted.
I
But
got
I
you.
will not fall asleep. I had Gatorade. I'm drinking apple juice right
We
now.
are ready to go, guys.
ready.
We are so ready for this episode. We'll see you in a bit.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Starting now, everyone gets to
And we are back with a reaction of the reaction of episode 6. Episode 5 of Cloak and Dagger. The title was Princeton Effect or something?
Offense.
Princeton Offense. Awesome. So yeah, a lot of stuff went down this episode. It was actually kind of difficult to navigate through. If you were trying to figure it out every second, you were probably like
Confused.
So this is definitely like a segue episode. There's a lot of loose ends and different things happening, and that's
Yeah.
all for spoilers right now.
Yeah.
So
And right as you said that, like segue, because I was after the first couple commercial breaks, I was like, the plot was kind of, I don't know. It just seemed like it was,
it wasn't cohesive,
yeah,
and it wasn't meant to be.
right.
That was the thing.
And it wasn't until like the end of the episode where everything kind of came together, kind of the ending of episode 4, where they had the impact with other individuals and their powers activated, and there was the fears, and then there was the hopes, and the going back and forth. It did a really good job connecting and bringing that episode together, but it's definitely a segue episode. And we watched the promo for episode 6, and we were just like, what
It
is going
keeps
on?
getting better. Like all
Yeah.
the trailers for the next episode just makes you so much more pumped to keep like watching.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
stuff like that. So as always, we got 3 topics, and then we got some spoilers for you guys. So first of all, we got plot development. What do we think? As we said before, it was a lot of different moving pieces, and if you didn't let the show just happen to you, just take it all in,
Yeah.
then you were really frustrated. Because if you wanted like a cohesive brick of a story, it wasn't that. It was more like 3 flowing streams headed in the same direction.
Yeah, because you had Tandy trying to figure out Roxxon and what was the deal with that. Then you had this new cop, trying to figure out who Connors was, and then you have Tyrone and his story. So there was a lot going on, but like I said before, by the end of the episode, it starts to come together. I think you saw a little bit more. It looks like Tandy experiments more with her powers, and Tyrone is a little hesitant. But Tyrone understands what Tandy's powers are, and
Not so much his.
and realizes a couple different things, without saying any spoilers. But the plot, like you said, it was a segue episode, and watching the promo for the next episode, you really understand, this episode and what the details were. So again, I'm gonna say the plot was a little shaky for me, and it kind of annoyed me a bit. But by the end of the episode, I liked it.
It's so funny because like Matt has a more critical view of things, and I'm more like, just go with the flow, just like see, let it happen, let it like sit in a little bit. So yeah, like I said before, this kind of like this episode opens up the TV show to go in so many different directions.
He knows
Like-
what he's talking.
And like, because all the moving pieces that start to happen, they have multiple unanswered questions and multiple things that they infer to you without expository dialogue. So like, instead of saying
All
like,
these big words.
yeah. So basically, like, expository dialogue is like if you have the main villain list his whole reason. That's a monologue, but it's expository dialogue because it's telling you his purpose and his plans for the superhero. And like when the superhero says, "Okay, I'm gonna go here and do this, do this, do this," expository dialogue. You get to know exactly what they're doing, what their intentions are. But this TV show has a lot. It does less with expository dialogue, and it wants you to infer a lot of things. So it'll show you an image. It'll have two people have a conversation that refers to something, and you're like, where is this coming from? Like, what does this actually mean? So you have to, it kind of brings you into the show more where you have to think a little more and infer what events are happening in the TV show.
And I want to say, like, in the first couple episodes, there was a lot of, you watch our other reaction videos, there was a lot of, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there was only like a couple of those moments in this episode.
Yeah.
And that really kind of, because you don't want every episode to be, oh my gosh,
like
over the top. So I think that thinking about it again, and as we're talking about it more, it makes sense that this was a segue episode. And like you said, it now opens it up to so many different avenues that, the writers and stuff like that, they opened up this episode for so many more possibilities. And I'm starting to like this episode more as we talk about it.
Yeah. Character development, like we said before, Tandy is a lot more expressive with her powers.
She's taking
all liberties without spoiling everything. She's taking a lot of risks. She's experimenting. She's doing different things with her powers. Tyrone, it's also with their personalities, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Because Tandy is more of an expressive, and she's out there. Like if you've seen the other episodes, even though she does emotionally run away from a lot of things, she tends to be very expressive and just speak her mind. While Tyrone is someone who's a little more
hesitant.
He's hesitant. He doesn't speak a lot. He's a lot more chill. So I think that's expressing themselves in how they use their powers. Because Tyrone hasn't really used the full weight of his powers, and they're both like learning about their powers. So. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and I would say, character development going in with like the family dynamic.
Yes.
There was a couple lines that the mom had. You can tell, like I could be like, oh, that's his mom in real life, Really shows her genuine care for her son. And they're still working through the death of their eldest son, and how that is a very, it's a primary thing that's happened, primary theme that's happening in this show, and it's going to be brought up again and again. So I still love the family dynamic. But yeah, that's my piece.
So another thing, villains. We have some potential villains outside of the corporation. Roxxon could be specific. Like we think the cop could be tied in. Connors might be tied in some type of way. I'm still suspicious about the detective. So yeah, I definitely recommend this episode.
It gives you a break to think.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm liking this episode more and more, because as we continue to talk about it to you guys, and you see kind of our thought process, and I see my thought process, and Manny's thought process, it's kind of going together, and I'm like, wow, okay, this was a really well thought out episode. Even though it may have felt like it lacked some plot, it really didn't.
It lacked plot because it was expanding itself to subplots. And that's...
Who is this guy?
TV shows versus movies. Like, TV shows have...
Yeah.
They have the potential for multiple seasons. And I think that's what Cloak and Dagger is trying to do here. They're trying to set themselves up for multiple storylines and multiple avenues to create a season
Yeah, I
and
agree with
multiple
that.
seasons after that. Like if you think of Arrow, the first season was very good because it gave you avenues to explore the one character in different facets. So you had episodes where almost every episode had a flashback at a different
Right.
point,
That's true.
whereas like far past, mid past, leading up to the time he became the Arrow, like you always had a point of interest, whether it was the present or the past. And so I think they're trying to do that in a different way with introducing plots with Cloak and Dagger, so that you can have different avenues to be still interested in the show. Like, okay, what's this character up to? How are they developing their skills? How do they really fit into the network of like the show? So yeah, I think they're doing a good job with that. Definitely would recommend this episode. Would definitely give this a thumbs up.
Definitely.
And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Click the ringer so you can find out about more content.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned for some spoilers in the next episode. See ya.